So today's guest is Toby and Andy, adventurers and explorers known for pushing boundaries from the Marathon Des Sables to rowing the Atlantic. In honor of World Ocean Day, they are here to discuss their latest expedition, which is leading the first ever three-person team to row the Arctic ice shelf, all in the name of exploration and sustainability. Toby and Andy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
It's nice to have you guys and to talk about something that's like so intense, because honestly you don't hear about these kinds of stories a lot, like in Dubai specifically. So it's really great to have you guys here today. So just to start off, can you guys tell us what it's like to, be part of the Marathon des Sables and rowing across the Atlantic?
Yeah, so look, they're both challenges, but like anything in life, we all take on challenges. So they're known as being particularly difficult, but you just have to take the next step. You just have to do the next thing. So yes, when you zoom out and you look at the whole thing, rowing an ocean seems quite hard, quite perplexing, quite brave, but actually you look no further than the next 5 minutes, and that's what you have to deal with. And it's the same with anyone in life.
Wow. Do you agree?
I think there's a little bit more than looking 5 minutes. I think there's so much more pre-planning that goes into people don't see. I think that allows you to look for just the next 5 minutes,
right?
100%. All the work that goes on behind the scenes before it. So yeah.
How much training would you say you have to do to get ready for something as tough like that?
Well, I think for the rowing, I think each to their own, really. We're all different physiques. We all have different lifestyles. So, we're doing, I would say, a couple of hours a day at the best days. The worst days are 30 minutes, 15 minutes on the row, whenever you can get on there. So, yeah.
Okay. So what would you say inspired you guys to, take part in the Arctic ice shelf?
I think you have to be the change that you want to see in the world. And if you look at where we're hoping to row in the Arctic, we shouldn't be able to row there. We can only row there because of global warming and what's happening to our oceans, and they're all heating up. So that's one. I think the second thing is we really passionately want to inspire students, the next generation, to dare to dream. And I think it's one thing doing ordinary challenges, but you have to do something that people have never done before, because that's really what captures the imagination. And we've got a program called Inspire 1 Million, where we hope to inspire 1 million students, not just here in the UAE, but across the world, to dare to dream, to protect the planet, and to be the future guardians of our ocean.
That's a really interesting point. The part where you said global warming actually is the thing that's making it possible.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. When we originally put in our plans, because we have to get permission from everybody. You can't just take a boat and suddenly do a little day trip. So we've had to. The government of Norway have been amazing. The governor of Svalbard, an island we're going past, has been amazing. But essentially, we're going to a certain height on the planet, and to get to that point, normally it'd be covered in ice. And due to the heating of the planet, the ice is no longer there, so we're able to get there, which makes it an unusual adventure, but also one because we've got a whole load of scientific kit. So kind of what are the data readings we're getting at that point of the world? What are the data readings we're getting at the start? And we're not just giving that data back to scientists, but we're being citizen scientists in some ways, and we're giving it back to students as well.
That's a really interesting point. How do you guys physically and mentally prepare for such tough conditions?
What I say, the physical side of things, there's a lot of training going into it. There's a lot of strength, core training, a lot of rowing. The more hours you have on your rowing machine, it's not just about the muscles, but your body needs to get used to it. I think the mental space, if you risk assess the situation and you get everything laid out how it needs to be and you understand what you're up against, then, as Toby said earlier, just kind of looking into the next 5-10 minutes, it's going to be so variable when we're out there. We're very dependent on just ourselves. The weather's going to play a big factor in how the day looks ahead of us. So it's going to be, there's quite a lot of planning that is a bit last minute, if you can put it that way. Yeah.
Because of the weather conditions and how it's unpredictable, right?
Yeah. So we've got a lot of equipment that we're going to have on the boat. There's a lot of equipment for keeping us nice and warm. The food supplies, making our own water is a big part as well of the trip. So yeah, there's a lot of planning that goes into it behind the scenes. So.
Oh, wow. So you said something about Svalbard, right? Are
Yes.
you going to be close to that area?
Yes, indeed.
So are you guys going to be is it going to be polar nights or anything like that?
Yeah,
or is it going to be the opposite?
That's great. So the reason we're doing it in the short window we have, which is kind of July to mid-August, is because it's 24 hours worth of sunlight because of the Arctic summer. During other parts of the year, it's complete pitch black. You know, it's 24 hours of darkness. But one of the interesting things about Svalbard is that it's so barren, there are more polar bears than people. And actually it's so cold, you're legally required to carry a source of heat. So obviously perfect training in the Middle East during that time. But you know, you can only deal with what you can deal with. And as Andy said, you know, with our training, we try to replicate things. There are certain places here that's slightly colder, and we make use of whatever facilities we can to be both physically and mentally in the best place we can for that adventure.
Okay, this might sound very random, but like, do you maybe utilize Ski Dubai? To get used to the weather
yet,
or something?
But we hope to. Yeah, we hope to.
So how are you guys like getting prepared for the weather? I feel like that's the most, not the most intense part, obviously. I feel like that's the least of your worries, but that's a pretty intense part. So is there a way that you get accustomed to the climate?
I wouldn't say, not right now from here. I think it's a couple of days before we row. But, you know, at the end of the day, a lot of the equipment we have with us, the gear, what's going to keep us warm.
They assist.
Yeah, all of that's going to assist us.
And we did a pre-trip just before the turn of the new year where I took my Under Armour kit up there. I wore it in different conditions. Obviously, it's a really interesting conundrum because while it's very cold, we're also exercising 24 hours a day. So actually our body heat is there. The challenge for us is when we're not rowing because we row 2 hours on, 2 hours off, 2 hours on. So when you're rowing, you're actually quite warm and this stuff is perfect. The question is what happens when you're not rowing? And the interesting thing is this gets rid of the sweat and then we've got jackets and other things that are specially designed for the conditions. So while we can't train in perfect conditions in terms of the weather or the temperature, we certainly got the kit we need to do the job.
Do you guys get the kit from Dubai by any chance?
Yes, so we're currently just going through the final, we need to get the kit so we can start training in it beforehand. So we're hoping over the next week or so we'll get everything to us.
So they would be available here?
Yeah.
So you would say like, Dubai makes it relatively accessible for you guys to like go far beyond like your average sports, football, all that. It opens up the opportunity. I
think there's a huge amount of suppliers here in the region. We're so lucky being so geographically located for an event like this. Yeah, I mean, it's the middle of the world pretty much, right? Everything comes in and out of here.
That's true.
There's great suppliers here, some great support here as well. So I think, yeah, it really does play a big difference.
It's a hub for innovation and technology in some ways. I don't think we could have taken on this challenge in any other part of the world. Specifically because of the way people come together, they're solution orientated. You know, they look for answers rather than problems. And, you know, when you do come up against a challenge, it's an opportunity. And so with those various things in mind, you know, the kind of government in the region's been wonderfully supportive. Even the Coast Guard have been fantastic about us training out there. I think that's everything knits together in some capacity. And that just makes our job and our task ahead of us that much easier.
That's 100% true, yeah. How do you make sure your expeditions are environmentally responsible? Because that's something that like you always have to ask yourself before doing something like that.
So we're going to be, whatever we take with us is going to be coming back with us. So if there's any waste or anything like that, it will be collected and we'll be keeping it in the boat, and it will make sure that when we get back into land, it will obviously be disposed of. But yeah, pretty much that we don't have fuel on the boat. We don't have anything apart from our own muscles and energy to make it go. So everything that's on the boat is, you know, propelled by us, run by us. We use solar power to obviously get our water maker working, our navigation equipment. So yeah, we're very much just self-reliant, and everything will come back with us. So yeah.
That's really important, to be honest. There's no motors or anything. It's just you and your own muscle.
Yeah.
So how do you balance adventure with protecting the environment?
That's a great thing. I think they complement one another. In terms of actually, because of this adventure, we're getting the publicity, we're here today. Yeah. And then that's a chance for us to kind of speak to the guardians of tomorrow, the students, the younger generation, and even the older scientists and the politicians about what's taking place on our planet and how we can all be the change we want to see. You know, we've launched a plastic pledge. You know, that's very much in line with the keeping of the direction of the government of Dubai, government of Abu Dhabi, and the whole region. And as a consequence, actually our adventure helps in some ways progress environmental matters because of what we're doing.
That's true. Okay, another question that we're very curious to know is, what are the main risks you guys expect on your Arctic journey?
So with the planning that's going into place, we're mitigating majority of the risks. The kind of the risks that I would say are more likely to occur is going to be like banging your head, stubbing your toe. It's actually the smaller things that are more risky than the big things. Everyone watches and always goes to the negative. But yes, it will be windy. We'll have to battle some storms, I'm sure. The cold will be blistering cold sometimes of the day if we've got strong winds at the same time and a bit of spray from the sea. But yeah, it's actually the smaller things, keeping yourself warm and little things like that are more to be mitigated than the rest. So yeah.
Yeah, it is the small things, isn't it? So how will your Arctic expedition help raise awareness about the ocean?
That's a great question. I think there are two elements to it. Number one, as we talked about, because it's an adventure and because we'll be actually going for a number of world records. So that draws the attention. Then secondly, we can then educate through what we see, the data we get, and share that data, and that kind of informs what's taking place about the environment in that part of the world. I think more importantly, as Andy's already said, we're on a rowing boat. We've got no engine, we've got no motor, so we're not emitting anything. We're containing all our rubbish, we keep that with us. So actually, a lot of the data we're getting is kind of unique, because when you've got a scientific research vessel, and yes, they might have air monitoring equipment at one part of the boat away from the engines, but we've got no engine at all. So actually the data we're getting is true and unique. I think it's also the way that nature interacts with us, the whales, the dolphins. So therefore, actually, when we're using sound monitoring equipment to listen to the whales, to listen to the dolphins, to see what's out there, to measure population growth, we're able to get that without any interference from any noise. So overall, our adventure, our expedition helps not just in terms of collecting data, but also informing people at the same time.
I feel like that's really important, to be honest. And what advice would you have for adventurers aiming for a similar journey or for a similar challenge?
Planning and having the support. There's 3 of us on the row, but there's a huge amount of people behind everything that's going on. It's huge support from all over.
It takes a huge team.
Well, it's family as well. You think you're leaving your family for a few weeks out at sea, and so your family, your friends, a lot of your network. So it's definitely not just a 2-man, 1-woman show. It's there's a lot that goes into it.
I think our expedition is reflective of the UAE, of the region, in terms of it's lots of nationalities coming together. Our satellite equipment's coming through a company called Range Global, who've been amazingly supportive over in America. We've got a Schenker water maker, and because we have to desalinate all our own water from the ocean, we can't take enough water for the journey. They're based out in Italy originally. So actually, this is a global effort, not just a local one.
True. And do you think, what are the qualities that are important for teamwork in remote places like the Arctic?
I think support, and you've got to have a lot of trust in one another.
Yeah.
There's no way you're going to do this just on your own. We're going to rely on each other. We're going to expect each other to put the same amount of energy and workload into it. When we're at home training, we're expecting our teammates to also be training, and I'd say just looking out for one each other, and
it's mostly about trust and teamwork.
But also just openness. We've got great dialogue on the group. If there's a challenge or a situation, we're just very open and honest with each other, and we share that information. We just find a very quick way forward.
Okay, on to our last and final question. What future expeditions are you considering after the Arctic journey?
I don't know. The world is our oyster, right? We've got a rowing boat. There's a lot of water out there. There's a lot of amazing passages to row. So I don't know how much we can say without saying too much.
As much as you're comfortable.
Yeah. Okay. So there are certainly plans. I think we can go on record here and say that the next challenge is based off the coast within the Arabian Gulf, focused on female participants, because our teammate Orla, she's going to be the first female in the world in history to have rowed open Arctic waters. It's a massive achievement.
That's incredibly impressive.
She's a tough cookie, she's a smart cookie, she's a wonderful teammate. And we're going to use that and the interest and awareness that's generated, because, our kind of slogan on that behalf, where we champion gender equality, is that greatness knows no gender. And, we're both fathers, we've both got daughters. And I think, we want to make them proud as much as anything else. So actually, we can say there is a row in planning for the Arabian Gulf. I know I'm still being a little vague because we haven't publicly announced it. Perhaps said more than I should already. But I just think this is a real chance to inspire. It doesn't have to be about rowing. It just has to be about ordinary people doing the extraordinary and taking steps forward for yourself. It's the beginning of the week. We've all been off for a few days. What joy is everyone having today? How are they progressing their lives? How are they moving the boundaries?
That's true. That's true. Honestly, thank you guys for the conversation today and letting us know what the Arctic entails and the journey that entails. Thank you, Toby, and thank you, Andy, for coming today.
Thank you.
And that's all the time we have today. Stay tuned. We're back tomorrow at 8:30.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.